In Ceramics 1, you use low-fire Amico glazes, and we use the brushing technique for application. So I want to go over a few basics with you before you get started. I'm going to use as my example a little base that was from the Rattle project, and I'm going to use True Black, which is a low-fire cone 05 glaze. You want to make sure that you are keeping a glaze log in your sketchbook. In other words, a running list of your forms and what glazes you're using. This is really important because if you find a glaze combination you love, you don't want to forget what it is. Well, and if you find a glaze combination that you hate, you don't want to forget what that is either. So make sure that you're logging everything. So what I do in my log is I do a little sketch of the form and then a description. And then I list in order what I'm applying. So what I'm applying to this form is 3 coats, in other words, 3 times True Black to the surface. So since it's a smaller form, I'm going to use a smaller brush, and I'm going to take the time to apply 3 coats. I commonly get the question, do I need to let them dry in between? Well, usually by the time you make it around the form, the one side has already dried. So it's really easy to allow it to dry a little bit between coats. So again, 3 coats. If you want to use a combination of glazes, that looks absolutely beautiful. In fact, I typically recommend layering color, and that's why it's all the more important to make sure that you're logging not only what glazes you're using, but the order that you're applying them. If you're glazing and you're a big pre-planner and you want to know exactly what it looks like, well, that's going to be a little bit tough because glazes can be slightly unpredictable depending upon where they're placed in the kiln. But if you want to have an idea as to what it looks like, let me show you this really sweet page that you can go to. It's the Amico page, and you want to go under low fire glazes. That's what we're using right now. And you'll see a whole bunch of categories of low fire glazes. We have a lot of the artist's choice glazes, but we have some of the low fire gloss glaze as well. So you can look under artist's choice, but you want to make sure that you're not just kind of like shopping and pretending that we have all of these hundreds of glazes in stock. You want to focus in on searching for a specific color. So if you want to see, for example, what True Black really looks like, you would look specifically for the True Black test tile. However, I think True Black is pretty self-explanatory. But there are some colors that could be a little confusing, like white clover. Is it white? Is it green? It's white. But if you want to check it out on the web page, check out some combinations, because they have some combination examples, you can go ahead and check it out. Or you can go all wild and just throw some colors on there and see what happens. Once you have applied 3 coats of your low fire glaze on the inside and outside of your form, you want to go ahead and take your glaze sponge, and you have a bowl of water handy, and wipe away the bottom edge. You want a nice clean edge the whole way around, just in case that glaze runs a little bit. It has a little bit of an edge so it does not run onto the shelf. And you want to make sure that it is completely cleared off of the bottom because you do not want it to stick to the kiln shelf. So this base is clean and ready to load into the kiln. Obviously, if you have a pot with a bottom, you want to make sure that you're not glazing the foot ring, and please do not glaze the inside, the center part of the foot ring. You may always glaze the insides of pots, but not the inside of a foot ring on the base of the form. Let me show you an example of a successfully glazed piece. This is my coil vessel combined with a wheel thrown form. So I have layered 2 different glazes on the outside. I applied 3 coats. The inside of the form is also glazed, but when you look at the bottom, there is no glaze on the foot ring. No glaze on the foot ring itself, nor is there glaze on the center of the foot ring. Please make sure you're keeping the bases clean. After you are done glazing your work, you are going to place it on the low fire glazeware only shelf. This is where I pull from to load the kilns. You want to make sure that you wipe off the foot. You see that last bullet point on the notes. Wipe off the foot or the base of the form prior to placing it back on the shelf. If you are not done glazing and it is in progress, just place a note inside that says, please do not fire. And then I know that you're putting another coat on there and you don't want it loaded into the kiln.